Yo, 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 good morning. It has been a while since we've done this. And nobody's on. This is sweet tea, by the way. In case you didn't know, sweet tea tastes its best when it's out of a mason jar. A big one. The bigger, the better. So, man, this desk I'm sitting at is so dirty. I used to build circuit boards right here, and well, I don't do that anymore. Just kind of nostalgic, I guess. Like for 4 years of my life, I sat at this desk building circuit boards. Like this was my. I'll turn it around. This was my solder pot, and it's just dusty right now. And I would dip the boards in that. Take this, scrape off the top, dip your boards in it. I would hold them in my hands because I'm hardcore like that, and I wouldn't. Only sissies use tongs. But still even got some solder, unused solder blocks. This thing right here saved us so much stinking money. But it's kind of wild to me, time passes and things change. And, you got to learn to roll with the punches. You got to learn to change with it. And that's a very difficult thing for a lot of people because we get comfortable. We like to be comfortable. And anything that disturbs that comfort, we're afraid of. And we become afraid, we become fearful, and we want to hold on to the past, hold on to things that we need to let go. Well, happy birthday. And your name is Nicker. Well, hello, Nicker. Happy birthday. How many years are you? But we got to hold on to, we tend to hold, we don't have to, we shouldn't actually. Come on, 8 years old. Well, heck yeah. Well, man, welcome to my YouTube Live. I haven't done this in a while, and I'm picking this back up again. But we have a tendency to hold on to the past, and we want to hang on to things that we got to let go. And one thing I've learned in life is you have to allow things to come in and out of your life like air in your lungs. And sometimes you have to exhale, and sometimes you have to inhale. And when you hold on to things when it's time to let them go, and you hold on to them because you're afraid, it's like holding your breath. The air inside of your lungs becomes toxic, and your relationship to that air becomes toxic. Just let it go. So let's jump into some of this. Look how dirty my desk is. I've got to clean this area. It's funny too, this is kind of metaphorical when you don't. What's up, Anthony? Good to see you. When you don't maintain something, a good friend of mine told me that freedom in things are inversely proportional. The more things you have, the less freedom you have. And it makes so much sense, looking at this desk and how dirty it is. Like I haven't maintained it in a long time. It's been probably almost a year since I've sat here and made circuit boards. And it is filthy, absolutely filthy. And then just from the dust, like the dust coming in the shed, if you can see behind me, it's open rafters. The wind comes in and brings in dirt, which is wild. I don't live next to a dirt road. But anyway, man, let's jump into some of this and see what we can find. And man, I rarely prepare for sermons. I rarely prepare for lessons. So all of this is straight from the cuff. And I'm feeling some Ecclesiastes today. So Ecclesiastes, I feel like there's some good stuff here. Ecclesiastes was written by Solomon. And you could kind of think of Ecclesiastes as an old man's, a dying old man's words on the way out. And we'll take a gulp of sweet tea and jump on in. So here we go. Everything in here sounds really negative. It sounds really negative, and he sounds kind of snarky, to be honest with you. But there's good stuff here. So in the words of the teacher, son of David, king of Jerusalem, this is Solomon speaking. Absolute futility, says the teacher. Absolute futility. Everything is futile. What does a man gain for all his efforts that he labors under the sun? As generation goes and generations come, but the earth remains forever. The sun sets, the sun rises. Painting, it returns to its place where it rises. Gusting to the south, turning to the north, turning goes the wind. And the wind returns in its cycle. All the streams flow to the sea, yet the sea is never full. The streams are flowing to the place, and they flow there again. All things are wearisome. Man is unable to speak. The eye is not satisfied by seeing. The ear filled with hearing. What has been is what will be, and what has done will be done. There is nothing new under the sun. This is good stuff. Nothing new. One can say about anything, look, this is new. It has already existed in ages before us. There is no remembrance of those who came before, and there will be no one who will come after. There will be no one who will come after there will also not remember them by those who follow them. So that's interesting. So right off the cuff, he is saying that everything is pointless. He's saying that everything is pointless. So that doesn't sound like the cheery, happy Bible that, I've come to know and love. Why would God preserve such negative teachings? Why would God preserve such negative teachings? Well, there's a point Solomon's trying to make, and as we explore this together, you will see what that point is. Oh gosh, that was nasty. It's gritty. Always forget the last of the sweet tea always has grit in it. Oh boy, that was not good. But he's saying everything comes and everything goes, and that there's nothing new under the sun, nothing new. And first time I ever read this, my little sarcastic self said, well, computers are new. There's never been computers before. There's never been this advanced technology before. And then, I think it's Antithraka device was found. And what was it? A computer. It was a manual computer, thousands of years old. So what's new here? And, you could say this device you're talking on is new. It's just a new version of the same thing that's been out for years. When I grew up, my big thing was computers. I loved computers. I grew up in the Windows 95, 98, XP years. That's to me, those were the best years for computers. And man, I can remember when my friend Dave gave me an 80 gigabyte hard drive. I was like, 80 gigabytes? When will I ever use all that data? Very quickly. I could eat up 80 gigabytes with one video nowadays. I can eat up 120 gigabytes in one recording session. And it's like, wow, there really is nothing new though. When you look at how all our technology work, it's just maybe a little more refined version of what once existed. But it's not new. It's not new. But we get so excited about it, and it wouldn't surprise me one bit. It wouldn't surprise me one bit if one day archaeologists were digging and then boom, out of the ground they started discovering, technology that rivals our own. Would not surprise me one bit. Because again, who knows what actually happened in the past? We can guess, we can make observations, but we never really know because we weren't there. And so what do you do with all this information? What do you do with all this? Well, for me, it put me into this existential place where, man, what really is meaningful? What really is worth doing? What echoes throughout history? What could I do today that would echo throughout history? Because I have one shot at this life. One shot. I will only exist as this for a very, very short time. And I do believe that we are eternal beings. Death just doesn't feel final. And so if I only have one shot to exist like this, I want to make it count. And how do you do that? Well, for one, and this is what I found through my personal experiences, for one, you don't sweat the small stuff. You don't make mountains out of molehills. You don't major on minor issues. And you let little stuff go and you learn from it. You learn from your mistakes. Again, I do believe we are eternal beings. And so when I look in the beginning of this Bible, what I see are a bunch of beautiful metaphors of how we were created to live in the Garden of Eden story. And we're not going to major on minor issues. We're going to look at what God intended to teach us. And what I see, what I'm being taught when I look at this story is, man, we were created to live. We were created to walk with God and talk with God. We were created to grow. And we were also created to rule our world. And so I want to rule my world in such a way that's not meaningless, that has value, eternal intrinsic value. And I want to get ready to walk with God and talk with God. I want to learn the lessons that life has set forth to offer me and take those lessons and put them in my heart and apply them to my life. And what I see is so simple. The lesson is so simple. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, your strength, your soul, your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. So simple. Jesus said if you do these two things, you have completely fulfilled all the requirements of the law. And what if we did that? What if we did that? What if we quit chasing stupid things like money, stupid things like power, prestige, social status, and we started doing something that really mattered? We break the system and step outside of the matrix, as so many people try to say, and do something that really matters, like loving your neighbor. If I loved my neighbor, I wouldn't mess around with his wife. If I loved my neighbor, I wouldn't steal their stuff. If I loved my neighbor, I wouldn't maliciously gossip about them or slander them. If I loved my neighbor, I'd be there for them. And throughout my life, when I have not loved my neighbor and I acted out of that hatred, I found that to be very empty. a very empty thing. I never received the satisfaction I was looking for. Now, it felt good in the moment, but over time, there was nothing. It was meaningless. It was empty. It was like chasing the wind, as Solomon will later say as we go through this chapter, as we go through this book. It was like chasing the wind. It was pointless. So, for us, man, what's up, Leonidas? Leo, my man, that's a cool guy right there. And I got a video coming up that he sponsored. But, when I love my neighbor and I'm there for him, and your neighbor is whoever is around you, definitely diesel all the way. When you love your neighbor and you care about your neighbor, you pray for those who persecute you. I find that to be so fulfilling in ways I would have never imagined. Because one, there's a level of discipline that has to happen. There's a level of personal discipline that has to happen. When you do these things, when you love somebody, when you choose to love somebody who hates you, and there's a difference between letting somebody abuse you and loving your enemies. You don't let people abuse you. But when I love people who hate me, and I'm patient with them, and I outweight their hatred, because hatred requires action here and now, in the moment, always in the moment. Everything our spiritual enemies, their plans require immediate action and immediate response in order to be successful. And when you're patient and you wait through that, guess what? It falls apart. And guess what? They fall apart. But you're left standing. You may have some wounds, but you're left standing. And you have an opportunity to do something intrinsically valuable. Let me tell you, when you love somebody who has hated you, when you have loved somebody who has persecuted you, you will have an opportunity through your patience and your long suffering. You will have an opportunity to speak some life back into them and be an influence for positive change. That's not easy. That hurts. That's painful. I'm speaking from personal experience. And if you was a fly on the wall with some of my conversations with my wife, you would understand you would understand how difficult that is for me to practice. But man, when I do, it's so meaningful. It's so meaningful. I've literally watched lives change simply because I was patient with them. God used me to change people's lives simply because I was patient and allowed it to happen. Simply because I cared about them. And, I never regret not saying hateful things. I've never regretted. I've never said, man, I really wish I could just go back in time and say all these hateful things. Once the emotion has passed, never regretted it. The things I regret the most are the times where I did say hateful things and I did do hateful, spiteful things. That's what I regret. That's what I wish I could go back and change. Because I see, anytime. Because I see what happened. I see what happened. Nothing good came from it. But going back to Ecclesiastes, Solomon saying everything is pointless. Man, don't get caught up. This is the lesson we're going to learn today. Don't get caught up. No, maybe. I know a lot of people, though. Yes, I actually can. Check it out. I'm a raccoon. But don't get caught up in pointless things. Don't get caught up in things that don't matter. Look for things that matter in your life. And look for the things that you live for. Look at the things you live for. And think to yourself, is this going to matter 1,000 years from now? 1,000 years from now, is what I'm doing today and what I'm investing my life in going to matter? And see what happens. I promise you, a lot of things will go. Anyway, you guys, Kim, I have an email address attached to my channel. Motorcycle Madness with 2 Z's at Gmail. It's Motorcycle Madness. Feel free to reach out to me. I love talking to people. I love people. And I can't, I'm not very good with names. That name, Anna Vaughn, that looks familiar. So maybe you can refresh my memory. And Motorboy, definitely Diesel. I love Diesel. So I have this theory, just to chase a rabbit before we wrap up our live today. I have a theory that you could run a gasoline spark ignition engine off of diesel fuel. And how I want to do it is I want to heat diesel into it in a container until it becomes vapor. Not to the point where it can auto ignition, but to the point where it becomes a vapor. And then use fuel injection to meter the diesel vapor into a gasoline engine and see what happens. Usually we heat it. We use compression, of course. You know this if you're into engines. Usually you use compression to ignite diesel. And I've always wondered if you could heat it up, preheat it, shoot it into an engine, and run that engine off of preheated diesel. So that would be really, oh, excuse me, y'all. That would be really interesting to see what kind of fuel economy you could get out of that engine if you do something like that. Because the molecules in diesel are so much bigger than gasoline. So pretty much ounce for ounce, pound for pound, there are bigger hydrocarbons in diesel. So I'm thinking, and again, I'm no physicist and I'm barely a mechanic. I'm thinking that you very well could not only run a gasoline engine, but yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like vaporize it before it gets into the engine. Not only could you run it, but I think you would get some insane gas mileage, fuel economy out of that engine. So that's one of the things I want to do on my channel. And as I build this thing up, we'll do it, man. I really would love to turn this into a full-time job. And but anyway, I actually need to start working on my video. Haley, the motorcycle, has taken a huge dump. The bike will barely go 40 miles an hour. And so she's going to get a new engine. The engine I have 2 engines. They're both Chinese engines. Hey, I got to work with what I got. I ain't a rich man. They're both Chinese engines. One is a 2-cylinder. It's a Suzuki clone. It's a 250. And the other is the one I really want to use. It's a CB 250. It's a motor that they use on the Hawk. If you've seen those Hawk 250s, they sell at Walmart and Amazon. Very common engine. It's also the same engine that Janus Motors uses on their 250s. And those guys are the ones that kind of sold me on it. I was listening to them talk about their bikes, and I was listening to them talk about how robust that particular engine is. And pretty much what happened years ago, Honda had an issue with people in Indonesia not maintaining their engines and tearing their bikes up. It's just the way they do life. So Honda was like, okay, you're tearing our engines up. Hold my beer and watch this. So they invented the CB series, which is not something you really see in America, but you see it overseas everywhere. They invented the CB 125, and that is a nearly indestructible engine. It's a push rod engine with 1 cam lobe. That's what really gets me. It's got 1 cam lobe. And my first bike had a CB 125 engine on it. And when I tell you this 300-pound man rode that bike for 20,000 miles, open throttle. Everywhere I went, open throttle, wide open throttle. And that thing just took it. That thing took it. How would a spray pattern work? Well, you wouldn't, the way I'm wanting to do it, I'm not going to go with direct injection. I'm going to, because I still have to have a spark plug. I am going to vaporize it. At least this is what I'm going to try anyway. I'm going to try to vaporize it, and just for the first experiment, we'll be vaporizing it and shooting it into the throat of a carburetor and just seeing what happens. If that works, like I think it will, because gas or petrol engines, they generally will just suck in whatever flammable liquid that you throw at it, and it'll run. If that works like I think it will, then we'll look into seeing if we can make some rudimentary, some very basic fuel injection system. I've got a VW, a Volkswagen throttle body for a motorcycle. Oh yeah, I'm not a wealthy man. I'm broke as a joke. That's why I'm trying to do YouTube, is for a job, trying to create a business with YouTube. But yeah, it's too thick to just shoot into an engine and run as it is. You've got to vaporize it first, and that's what we're going to play with and try. But first, we got to get a running motorcycle, and so that's what I'm going to do with my main bike, my favorite bike. My favorite bike is a 250. We're going to put that CB 250 onto Haley, the Nighthawk, and see what happens. And so Assembly General Moderate, I'm not sure what that means. Okay, whatever. I guess you're going to tell us how to get rich. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see. There's a whole bunch of I don't knows coming to this project. So, well, just because this is going to be so cool. I've got a gas generator, and I have an electric motor, and I have an old chopper frame. We're going to put all this together eventually. I'm going to have some money to do this. We're going to put all this together and see what happens. But again, first I got to get my favorite bike running. So I'm going to throw this CB engine on the Nighthawk. We're going to have some fun with it. This is it's that $250 engine you see on Alibaba. You see it on AliExpress. I literally bought it off of AliExpress. And we're going to see what it's capable of. Because I abuse that bike more than any other bike I've ever owned. I have beat that Nighthawk to death, and I fixed it and broke it and fixed it and broke it, and now it's broke. So guess what we get to do? Yes, definitely remember it's fire. Yeah, this can get ugly quick. But we'll see. And man, you guys can totally help me get on board with this. But and look, going back to spiritual stuff, man, if you guys ever have any questions, you're ever hurting, man, feel free to reach out. I'm gonna make an effort now that I'm doing these lives again. I'm gonna make an effort to check that email regularly, and man, because hey, I want to do things that really matter. I want to make connections with people. They turned us into corporations, man. I'm not even gonna go there. I love you, Kim, but that's one of those things I'm not even going to worry about. Life is short. Rich people do rich things. Whatever. I don't even care. But man, I love you guys. Y'all have a blessed day. Feel free to reach out if you need me, and catch you on the fly. And look, be waiting for my videos to drop. I'm hoping by the end of the month, I'll have my first long form video done. So that's the goal. Anyway, later, y'all. Remember how to do this.